Hi Tim, this is the first time I've done Zoom. This is really exciting.
Isn't it?
Yes. So, right, we want to talk about the sensory garden, and I thought it would be great to try and get a little bit of inside information about how we've arrived at where we've arrived. People come on site all the time. I have the pleasure of showing them around, and everyone goes, wow, this should be in Chelsea and stuff like that.
My first memory of Sensory Garden was that you said you had some funding and we really need to spend the funding. Up until then, we spent a lot of time clearing stuff, putting it on big piles and making big bonfires, which has been fun because I love bonfires. But when it came down to funding and using funding, I'm thinking, well, you know, I could spend £2,500 on a lovely garden. The garden will be like my garden, but bigger, so that's easy. But obviously, it's not that at all, is it?
No.
Look at that.
Lift it higher. Oh yes.
Nothing.
No.
Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing.
No.
Nothing. Better than
I'll tell you what I actually remember from those early... you said a couple of people. We had armies of people who were clearing brambles. We had help from Yarmouth College. They were just stalwarts. They were there every week for months just hacking into things. It was great. They used to hack away with the secateurs and their shears, and they'd disappear into the brambles and hide from their friends and then jump out from this little den that they'd made. And it became an exploration. And for them, it was actually enhancing their lives, coming along and being involved in a real project. At the very beginning, I can remember going to a friend of mine called Brian, and they do interior design and stuff like that. And him and some of his guys put together a little sketch showing some pathways and some ideas for putting tin cans on things and having sensory things. And I think that was the very early stage. I gave that to you, and then you took it into reality and added all sorts of things to it, and added the Wicks mentality.
I spent a long time planning it in my head, and obviously we had to come up with a work party every month. And for me, it was like, you know, make a little photograph in your head as to what you think is going to happen next time, and then tell the people who are there. You never know how many you're going to get, and you tell them what they're going to do, and at the end of it you go, yeah, that's all right, let's think of what we're going to do next. But at the time I would go to sleep and I would wake up with all my everything was in my head, and I could think of what we'd done and what we needed to do next, and I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd remember it. And you try to make the most of opportunities that you get given. So Matt and Peter, as in brothers, had to get rid of some of the garden, and I said, I've got some bags, I'll take away some garden.
Yeah.
So I got there with a load of bags. We completely filled the car, I mean completely, you know, top to bottom, with bags with plants that were at various stages. And some of them are still the most spectacular plants that we've got in the garden.
Yeah. Where did the idea of all these different pathways come for different sensations as you walk around? You got the false grass and the brick and the shells, and I know where the shells came from because I went to a garden near Dover and came across some shells, and I seem to remember mentioning that one, but I don't think I can take responsibility for any of the others.
Yeah, well, it was your fault. I mean, you said, what textures are we going to have for the... You'd throw in a question, you know, in the middle of a conversation about something else. What textures are we going to have in the pathways? And so I'd think about, you know, what can we use for pathways? And obviously, because we've got quite a big area, you can go, we can have all of them. I mean, my favourite quote is your... I mean, we haven't used it yet, but you said somebody's got a Zimmer frame, can you use it?
Yeah.
And the answer is yeah, because a Zimmer frame is there to support things.
Yeah.
And that's what plants need.
And as we went along, just the excitement of doing the pond, and we liked it so much, we dug another one.
It was actually Pete who said, that's a nice pond. Can't we have another one? And I went, yeah, okay. So one of the big days was the tunnel was the Friday, the Willow tunnel. We then put in the what we now call the Wilwam. But the thing is, once it had that, you actually had some shapes in the garden that looked like they were going to stay, and that was a really important thing.
Yeah.
And you said entrances, and I thought, oh wow, what?
Yeah.
This is what sketch I made there.
Look at that. Brilliant.
That is the actual thing, isn't it?
Brilliant. That's brilliant. I see you've got a weather vane on top. You probably didn't realise at the time that we were going to end up with a weather vane on a shed for Russell.
Russell's rest wasn't Russell. Russell was alive.
Russell was still alive. Do you remember when we were doing we'd got the pond done, and then we said about a bridge, because Lowestoft still needed a third crossing. So
Yep.
we already had the 2 bridges that we'd put over the stream. So we needed a third crossing at the farm. So Matt made that amazing thing out of oak. Absolutely, I remember him putting it down, and there was the Beast of the East, and there was snow just everywhere, wasn't there? It was so deep, and we were still working on the garden.
So yeah, me and Jem and Dave Bullock.
And Amy was helping out doing all the stones and things, and there was Josh there, and there were so many people. And then Rich was there. Yeah, it was great.
That was done probably 6 months after we made the actual pond. There was a gap.
Yeah, there was.
Where the bridge was going to be. Matt made the plan for the bridge in a church service. And he actually had an envelope, a real envelope, and he drew 2 plans on the envelope. But at the end of the service, he gave me this envelope, and it had what it was made from, and it had measurements and all the stuff like that. So all I had to do was buy the wood. And Matt took it away and shaped it, and then he brought it back.
Fantastic.
With a bridge that was made with no nails.
I know, astonishing, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a work of art. And then, but I mean, there's things in that pond that people don't know about. There's the Lord of the Rings ring, isn't there?
Yeah, it's really gold.
It is absolutely gold, and it's sitting in there, and no one apart from you and I and 1 or 2 special people know where it is. My precious.
Yeah, there's also some old coins as well that are in the concrete as well. In the rock garden, there's a stone, and the stone looks like a gravestone. And that's to do with another book that I read called Duncton Wood, which is about moles.
So tell us about, come on, this zany idea of the way into Narnia. I love it.
Yeah, well, C.S. Lewis knew a thing or 2 about Narnia, but he didn't know what we know. And what we know is that you can go to Narnia both ways, and the door is always open. So we had a wardrobe, and we thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a wardrobe? And that'd be stupid, because of course you go out of the wardrobe and then it doesn't look like anything from the outside.
Yeah.
So we put 2 wardrobes back to back, put some stained glass window in between.
Yeah.
I mean, as you do.
Yeah.
Dennis made a really nice roof for it, which is good.
Yeah.
And it's Narnia, and we reversed the doors. So the doors, you can see the open side of the doors, but it's always open.
Always open. Yeah. And then mulched rubber.
Oh, that's the thing. I mean, that was another surface. The only thing that Chatsworth House have got in their Century Garden is a flat rubber floor. Right. And the rest is a garden. All gardens are Century Gardens, but they've got a rubber floor. Yeah. And I looked at it and I thought, it's not really very exciting. Yeah. So we've got a mixture of ex-car tyres as a surface. Makes me happy.
And then, of course, on the path along the side, as you come in through the wonderful entrance, you've got the handprints, which are just brilliant. And then in amongst all the bits down the side, you've got all those jewels. There's all those lovely jewels, of which Steve Blade's young daughter has been getting a collection at home, I understand.
Which is nice. That's exactly
which is lovely.
There are many, so there's plenty to go round. Down the same path, we've got the bottles.
The bottles. I always tell people how much research had to go into that. that it was one of the hardest jobs we've ever had to do, because we had to drink each one to make sure it was the right colour, and we discarded so many.
Yeah, I got that idea from Eden Project. They had to take that out because obviously people used to break it and you used to end up with
jagged bits. Yeah,
jaggedy bits that cut your feet off.
Yeah.
So they stopped it, but we're nice.
We've never had a single breakage.
No, never ever.
Of course, now we've got this amazing, brightly coloured sensory experience with, and this time of year, such a shame people can't come and get to see it at the moment, because it is stunning. You at the beginning, you showed me a picture of you, Josh, and Jem sitting around the pixie table, because I always remember that Jem and Amy had just had this 120-foot poplar cut down in their garden, and this huge round cutting through the tree just made a perfect garden, didn't it?
Here it is.
Ta-da! Look at that. Wonderful.
Such handsome men.
Such handsome men. It's not quite that pristine any longer. There's a big crack down it, like the stone table for Aslan. I should have probably worn a cap just to look trendy like you.
Yeah.
Like a garden designer. Anyway, thank you, my friend.
See you later.
See you later.